Hello and welcome back to part 2, Artists and Designers. We are going to work on our photo composite surrealism pair house here. In the first step, we went ahead and cropped out our images and got those onto separate layers, got rid of the background and, kind of masked it out and then or copied and pasted it and got it together. So we need to make this look a little bit more realistic because these windows and this door, they're just kind of sitting here on this pair and they don't really have any connection to the form. So here's the nice thing about not having a mask. It makes it a little bit easier in this next step. We're going to warp this a little bit. So just grab the corner of, let's start with a window here. Grab that corner and just kind of scale it a little bit. And once you scale it, we can right click and you can enter the warp zone. So if we click on that, you're going to see this grid over top of your window. And now when I click anywhere on this grid, I can start to push and pull different aspects of this so that I can get this window to really kind of feel like it actually belongs on this shape a little bit more. So if you're familiar with Illustrator, which many of you are, I'm sure, you are going to see these are kind of like handles on anchor points, and I can curve and bend those around. You can really do almost whatever you want here. Don't overdo it too much, but there you go. We're going to warp that, and we're going to try the same thing on the door. So I'm going to click on my door, and again, if you just right click immediately, you're only going to see your layers. So you have to click the corner, and you'll again notice the menu bar at the top changes. So once I click the corner, I can right click and enter this warp zone right here, or you can also actually do it up top. This is the same feature right here, entering the warp zone, and then again starting to bend your door, try to make it so that it fits that shape and the form of the pair a little bit better. Got to make sure it fits better, apparently. All right, so that looks pretty good. Again, I'm not going to get too specific about it, but let's say that that works for our purposes right there. So I'm going to hit enter, and I'm happy with that. Okay, so we've got our door, we've got our window, we've got our pair. I'm going to do the smart thing right here. I'm going to go ahead and zip these up into a folder. So I'm going to select my door, I'm going to hold down the shift key, and I'm going to go down to the pair because I want all 3 layers selected. Make sure you don't have the country road, but I have all 3 selected, and now I'm just going to hit my folder icon and zip those up into a group. Let's double click and let's call that pair house. So that is my pair house right there. So it's nice because it's in a group. I can show and hide the entire thing in one click, and if I click on the group, I can even move it as a group. I could scale it as a group. I could duplicate the group if I hold down the I can't hold down the Alt key as a group, I guess, but I could duplicate this entire thing. I could get another copy of this pair house. I could move this copy over here somewhere, rearrange them, so I could put another pair house in the background. Maybe this is a neighborhood. So the beauty of having things in a group, it's really nice to be able to kind of copy multiple layers at once. Now I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that copy because I just showed you for demonstration purposes. All right. So this is looking okay, but right now it doesn't really feel accurate because it's just floating here. Whoops, it's just floating here above the grass and it doesn't actually feel like it's in the grass. So for this next step, we're going to go ahead and make it look like it's actually sitting in the grass a little bit more. There are a number of different ways to do this. I'm going to try what I think is probably the easiest method here. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a mask layer to this folder. So it's going to put a mask layer on the entire group. Now you remember when the mask layer goes in, when you don't have anything selected, nothing really happens because white shows everything that's inside this folder. And if I paint black on here, it's going to hide it. So what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to click on that mask layer. I'm going to go over and grab a brush. I'm not going to do anything fancy. You can get fancy if you want, but I'm going to just do my hard round brush. Now if you have the tablet, you can do the hard round pressure and size. It's probably going to work out a little bit better. And now when I go over here, I can take my brush, and as I start painting, you got to make sure that your color is black. And as I start painting on here, I can actually hide that in using my tablet here, nothing too fancy. And you can do this with a mouse, just goes a little bit quicker. I could scribble on this, and just kind of create a little bit of a rough edge around this to kind of make this feel as though it fits into this grass a little bit better. Now remember, if you overdo it and I go up too high, oh, whoops, you can switch back over to white. Quick key is X, on your keyboard, switch back from black to white. So if I go to white, I can kind of repaint that in there, no big deal. That's the beauty of the mask layer, is it's kind of showing or hiding various parts. So already that looks like it belongs a little bit more. I could get a little bit more fancy with this, but I think I'm satisfied with that for right now. You can get more detailed if you like, but to me, that feels as though it's actually in the grass a little bit better than it was when we started. So quick thing that we can do there. So we got our mask layer sitting over our group, and then when we paint with black on that mask layer, that's going to automatically kind of hide the parts of that layer. Just be careful that Country Road isn't in there, because if Country Road is in there, you're going to be masking Country Road as well. We don't want that in our group. We want that outside of the group. So that is our next step, is to kind of mask that out. I'm going to go ahead and stop that video, or stop the video right here. So really all we did was kind of warp those, put that into that group, and go ahead and mask that a little bit more so it feels as though it's sitting in the grass and it feels a little bit more realistic. Next video, we'll talk about shading and figure out a couple different methods to do that. See you in the next one, guys.